Shipmates Before the Mast, a Coastie's Chronicle of the Dishonorable, by Bradley Engel. Copyright 2019 by Bradley Engel and Dirty Sailor Company. Published by Dirty Sailor Company. Dedicated to all those who left the Coast Guard under other than honorable conditions. Words from the author. Helping Pojak with his VA claim and anticipated appeal was my first and only intent. Then three things happened. 1. I read Dana's 2 years before the mast. 2. The president made comments on a re-released VA report. And 3. Captain Ladson Mills, retired, published Abandoned Shipmates. The results build the pages of this book. While reaching for his zipper, Pojak said, "It reeks of paradise neath this bridge. This bridge and every other motherfucking bridge downtown. Almost like low tide." I first stumbled upon him under Interstate 480, where it spans the Missouri and connects Council Bluffs to Omaha. Covered in hairy, rusted red leather skin and faded tattoos, his vacant stare towards the flowing river didn't prevent me from asking for a light. My question was not answered. He sat motionless, so I took the opportunity to stare myself. His ink was all nautical and old, Pacific crafted. The guy couldn't have been more than 40, but looked frail and weathered. Hair curled into a ball and tucked under a Coors original ball cap. "How about a light there, guy?" This time he turned. I first thought he was crazy drunk by the way he said, "Huh?" The sound was raspy, like he'd been yelling his entire life, or his vocal muscles were coated with the contents of an ashtray. His eyes only saw where his head moved to direct them, first at my duct tape sandals, then slowly up to my shorts, stomach, beard, and finally my 7-Eleven shades. I said, "You got a match there, fella? I'll get it right back to you, promise." "I got a lighter right here for you." He smirked and reached for his crotch zipper. That grin led to all of this. Within hours, he relayed an experience so near to mine I was dumbfounded at our fluke encounter. His stories captured identical characters that I'd met and lost along the way, those of friends trapped in gutters and lost in dark convictions. Encouraging Pojak to seek help through the VA seemed natural enough. Richard Henry Dana Jr.'s 2 years before the mast was beside me and missing its cover by the end of that trip. Unlike Dana, and more like a sailor, I've been driven in a flippant angst to experience a world different than what the officer class prescribes as real or worthy. That drive is also in the text that follows, mixed with the inspiring thoughts that surfaced as I read 2 years. Often I wonder where all my shipmates ventured to, marked by memories and scars, or pride culture and metal distinction. I'd wager the sea was lost on most, a nostalgia past represented with plastic keepsakes on the prow, Dick on the mantle. Read the most recent updated report from the VA National Suicide Data Report 2005 to 2016, and the most recent report from the Coast Guard, State of Behavioral Health of the United States Coast Guard. It would be nice if the author of these reports were fucked with 2 separate penises, one with gonosyphilitis, and the second one, a really big one, up the butt. There are biases, misleading and scandalous inferences, and mass generalizations in these documents, overwhelmingly so in the executive summaries. The research papers cannot be mapped onto the reality of our situation. We need to know the who's, what's, and why's regarding veteran suffering, often leading to death or gutters. Specifically, we need data on behavioral health in the veteran group who does not use the VHA, and we need info on those separated with other than honorable conditions. These people are our shipmates. Why did the president demand the report from August 2016 be updated with an even more incorrect and misleading summary? As the first version of this text went through drafting, I was directed to a newly published book called Abandoned Shipmates, The Destruction of Coast Guard Captain Ernie Blanchard by Ladson Mills. Mills led me to a dissertation titled The Study of a Secret Society, Resistance to Open Discussion of Suicide in the United States Coast Guard. Both of these texts point to major problems in the Coast Guard, all leading to unwarranted distress. Each of these texts influenced my decision to spin my yarns to audiences outside of my nautical network. However, I wrote for myself, with love and loathing for people I met and lost along the way. I am telling sea stories here, which may highlight some obvious issues, though this is no scholarly article. My copy editor, Mike, did not pick up on the italics throughout, which worries me. He also was concerned about the sailing lingo. "It will be difficult for non-sailors to read," he said. And I agree, though the stories are from a sailor's head. As a compromise, I've inserted footnotes where I define the terms, including etymology, where such a thing may be of value to my own ego. Thank you, Mike. Time is the strangest and most valuable asset we have, and you share yours often. If incest was not frowned upon, I would have regular sex with Brendan, Jay, David, and Dan. I'll take authentic over any other trait. We are all undoubtedly pushed and pulled by our surroundings, so it is nice to meet people who configure their surroundings to benefit their rare potential. Unique, the sign of an exceptional lifestyle. In short, what started as one ex-Coastie trying to help another became something a bit more squally. I want the best for Pojack, and maybe this is the way to do it. But it could be that I'm wrong. Regardless, as I left Omaha and found a conscious moment years later, I began typing this intro. An urge to be shipshape filled my mind ballast. Maybe this gun's for Charlie Noble. Should have pointed the thing a long time ago. Bradley Engel. Footnote 1. Sailor. A debatable term, though commonly used to describe a person who is engaged in the seagoing lifestyle. The United States Naval Academy refuses to call officers sailors and refers only to enlisted men as such. 2. VA. Department of Veteran Affairs. 3. VHA. Veterans Health Administration. 4. Charlie Noble. A galley smokestack, usually brass, on a 15th, 16th, and 17th century sailing vessel. The fastest way to clean Charlie Noble, other than having your cabin boy shine it, is to shoot soft shot through it. Cleaning Charlie Noble is necessary to prevent fires, which are a sure way to die at sea.
Forward. A sailor knows too well that his life hangs upon a thread to wish to be often reminded of it. So if a man escapes, he keeps it to himself, or makes a joke of it. Richard Henry Dana, Jr. Richard Henry Dana, Jr. enrolled for 24 months of seafaring aboard a 19th century fur trading ship. Coming from a well-off family, between his sophomore and junior year at Harvard, he set sail for California. Over the course of 2 years, he was employed as a sailor, that is, a working-class seaman who lived in a dark dungeon-like area in the forecastle, before the mast. Dana published his book about 10 years later. 2 years before the mast became a tribute to those who were abused at sea, tortured by their officers, and submitted to the most unnecessary and callous conditions. Unfortunately for us, Dana missed the mark. As a Harvard man, Dana simply could not relish the life of a ragged sailor. His time at sea was surely full of adventure, hard work, and fear, though it was shielded with deep pockets, friends in high places, and social standards. Dana's shipmates didn't have these luxuries. What sailor does? Did he help our condition? Dana's message surely contributed to the laws and regulations that have come to protect the lives and honor of working sailors, though his portrait in 2 years before the mast shows our raggedness as meek. He made the world see us as lowly creatures to be pitied. Dana gave us laws meant to protect our bodies from reckless investors and Ahabs. Though weather-beaten and worn seamen don't benefit by donning life preservers and purchasing sea lawyer pocket guides, shelter from the cabin has created its own problems, and we didn't want protection from the seas. We needed lights in the forecastle. Footnote 5. Before the mast. Prior to the 20th century, before the mast was a term used to describe a person's position on a vessel. The working sailor lived in the forecastle of the ship, which is in front of the mast. Today, the term mast refers to a non-judicial court-martial, or a trial led by a ship's captain. Before the mast could then be meant to mean in front of the command for punishment. Gratitudes. It is only luck that you or I were born where and how we were. There is nothing but gratitude in my head for the luck I fell into from the start. Late 20th century America, middle class, healthy. The circumstance for aptitude, intelligence, and drive is not ours to claim. It is luck. I am thankful, sort of. Each one of my limbs, organs, and balls is accounted for. My children are healthy, fun, and nearby. I am thankful for all those I've counted at sea. I didn't choose to meet you. I am thankful that I did. The struggles made me aware. The accomplishments, losses, and wins left me confident, capable, and ready. The Coast Guard allotted me with experiences and rigging to navigate. The post 9/11 GI Bill is one of the most palpable tools I've ever received, thanks to those who made such things possible. Regrets. It is only luck that you or I were born where and how we were. There is nothing but regret in my head for the luck I fell into from the start. Late 20th century, America, middle class, healthy. We live in a world where privilege is rewarded. Privilege should be the reward. But what do? Nothing. Each one of my limbs, organs, and balls hurts or has hurt. I regret not contemplating the virtues at a younger age. I could have pulled out more. No thanks to those who use the VA as a pawn in the political scheme. Too many of my OTH brothers die inside and on the streets every goddamn motherfucking day. Jack ashore. A letter to the VA. Jack ashore, 1399 Webster Street, Alameda, California, 94501. January 26, 2019. Decision Review Officer. I've heard doctors and nurses whisper through canvas partitions. They're just looking for handouts. Continuous episodes of The Price is Right in the waiting rooms. Detached men staring into their palms, scratching their skin. Who has a reason to think anyone gleefully skips into this process? This entire sequence from start to now has been exactly what I was told it would be. A game. A hassle. You can jump to conclusions, but remember that roughly 20 veterans a day die of suicide. 8,000 since I applied for benefits. Well, 20 a day is what the VA said last year, but we know that figure is extrapolated from shit data. The VA relies on third-party data to gain information on over 50% of the veteran population. For the suicide info, the VA settled with the scanty info given by a handful of states. The truth is, no one has accurately documented the social and behavioral characteristics of today's veterans. But don't worry, I won't kill myself anytime soon. Ha! So serious all of a sudden. Over a year of waiting and I finally heard back. Denied. The VA says I provided insufficient documentation. Though your application form gave a 1-inch box to explain disability issues, disgruntled doctors ask boilerplate questions. The VA requests and decides cases based on minimal information, while it completely overlooks the massive data analysis it conducts. Then it says, insufficient documentation. So then, please allow this document, starting on the previous page through to the end of the book, to serve as item 9 on the Appeal to Board of Veterans Appeals form. I hereby request a review of my denied VA claim. What follows is a Coastie's confession, which can't fit on your small fucking questionnaire. If you don't read it, maybe somebody will. I was healthy when I enlisted in the Coast Guard, excited when I left boot camp, thrown to an idiot sea wolf, fought the seas on my own, followed every fucking order with blind obedience, was hung out to dry stiffly on the mast. I was not healthy when I received my discharge. My medical record states this clearly. Let's backtrack for a moment. Veterans are heroes. What a ridiculous proposition. Placing a categorical marker like veteran on an individual makes sense in some situations. Taking extremely presumptuous and precise attribute and assigning it to all members is really not a healthy thing to do. Let me parade your ass down the roads of life with some cheap hero brand on your personal and unshakable identity. What's special about the entire VA group? Your parades are for politicians, not veterans, and it makes me bitter. There are undoubtedly many veterans out there who've had tremendous and terrifying experiences in their line of work. I won't compare mine. It was by no means combat threatening. It did not include war zone episodes or prolonged traumatic stresses, and it did not leave me with missing limbs or organs. Maybe some fit the bill of being a hero, but I'm not a hero, and I gag a little bit each time I hear the term. Regardless, I'm not asking to be fucking hero saluted. We had a contract. If I left in a worse condition, then I'd be reimbursed for it. We're all humans here. The ideals of pride, honor, and devotion don't dissolve under the human condition. We all bounced off of personalities and positions. Some of us were born more elastic than others. My memory isn't complete, so my journal has filled in the blanks, and maybe so can that ironically thick medical file you keep on your desk.